Hi everybody, this is Sean again, and today we're going to take a look one more time at Google Drive, and we're going to take a look at a feature that I love to use in our professional development classes, which is Google Forms. Now, if you're familiar with using some products like SurveyMonkey, which allow you to develop surveys and gather information from participants, Google Forms allows you to do pretty much the same thing, but it's a little bit easier to manage, and you can survey as many people as you want. You can use it to gather survey information, create an online form or an application. For instance, one thing we've done is use it as a registration form for conferences. You can pretty much do anything you like. One thing you might use it for as a classroom teacher is create a form at the beginning of the school year and put it on your teacher web page to ask students just some basic student information like name, home phone, email address, likes and dislikes, favorite subjects at the beginning of the school year, rather than sending the paper forms home and then not coming back in the backpacks, for instance. So let's just jump right into this. And like anything else, you do need to be logged into your Google account. Don't forget, if you click on the Apps button at the top of the page, you can choose to go to Drive. I'm already in Drive, so I'm going to jump over here to the left and click Create, and we're going to jump to Form. Now, forms are pretty easy to use, like I said, and from the start they make it very simple for you. They have you type in a title. I'm going to put Sample Form, and then choose a theme. And you have several different themes to choose from, and I'm just going to choose something simple here. I'll just choose like a blue header and click OK. Now from here, it takes you to the form settings. Across the top, you'll see that at the left we see the symbol for a form, and it's also the menu so that we can jump back to Google Drive. We see the title. Now if I mouse over the title, I can click on it and I can rename it right there if I want to, and a rename document box pops up. And then we have our file menus and edit, all sorts of different menus like we would normally have in a document that would allow us to download and save this if we wanted to, or embed it somewhere. Then across the top we have our undo and redo. If I want to change the theme at any time, I could just click on the theme button. And a couple of other menu items that I'm going to save for later as we get further down the line in this video. Now, first of all, one thing you can do is, if you've ever received a survey link in your email from someone and it's a fairly lengthy one, it says this survey will take you 15 minutes or less to complete, and then there's a progress bar that shows you how far into the survey you are, so you know how much you have left to go. That's what this first setting is for. You can click this little box and the progress bar will show up at the bottom of the form. Now if you don't have a particularly long form, there's really no need to check this box. Next we have a form description. This allows us to type a description. So for instance, if you have any instructions or if there's some specific information that you need to give to the person that's filling out the form, you can place it here. So what I'm going to do is just set up a student information form. And then right off the bat we can put in our first question. Now with the question title, that is the actual basic question. So here I'm going to put first name. Once you've placed your question title in, you can choose the question type. If you click on the drop down menu, you see that you have several choices here. Now in this case, I need the user to fill in their name, so I would choose text. But you also have paragraph text. So if you have a longer response that you want them to give, you can choose paragraph text. Multiple choice would allow you to actually use this to collect responses for multiple choice questions if you wanted to. However, it will not grade it, so if you're wanting to use the form as a quiz or a test, it does not do that, but you could at least gather information from it and then go back and hand score it if you chose to. Check boxes allows you to put some choices in and allow them to place a check in the box next to their choice. Choose from a list. creates a drop-down list like the one we're seeing here with these choices. And then Scale allows you to put a rating scale. Now, for our after-school workshops, one of the things that we do is ask participants to score or rate the presenter on a scale of 1 to 5. So that's where this would be handy in rating a specific workshop or presentation, or just an overall perception from the user regarding something that they're doing for your class or for your program. And then you also have grid, and you can also collect date and time. I'm going to make mine text because I said here we need to have a first name entered in this section. And then you'll see a basic, just a view of what their answer would look like. If you want to require that this field is entered, then check the required question box and then click done. And then from here you see what they would see. You see a basic text box asking for their first name. I'll need another one of those, so I'm going to add one for last name. And check required question and hit done. So you see we have two basic fields. And then from here I'm going to add some additional information. And I'm going to pause this for a moment so that you don't have to sit through everything I'm going to do here. So as you can see, we've gathered several little pieces of information here from setting up our form. I've added a field for first name, last name, phone, and email. And you'll notice next to each of those there is an asterisk. That basically means these are required fields and they must complete these fields before they click send form. The rest of these below are just open-ended questions that they can answer. They are not required to answer them if they don't want to. This just kind of gives you a basic rundown of how forms work and how to set one up. Now from here, what I can do is I could go to the top of the screen and I can click View Live Form, and it will allow me to see what this form would look like if it was presented on the web. And so here you can see I chose the blue header design, and that's what we see here. It's very basic, and it shows us exactly what the form would look like to the end user. It shows the fields that are required, and then at the bottom there is a submit button. Now your next question may be, where does all this go? Once they click submit, where does this information go? Well, for each form that you create inside Google Drive, it also creates a corresponding spreadsheet. Now, we didn't create a specific video on spreadsheets, but spreadsheets, if you're familiar with Excel, allow you to create tables of information, and in this case, information such as first name, last name. Well, in this case, each one of these headings on the questions become the field names at the top of a spreadsheet, and each time someone fills out one of these forms, it will show up in the spreadsheet. I'm going to pause for a moment and I'm going to fill out this form just so we can have some basic information that we can use in a spreadsheet. Okay, so as you can see here, I've taken a little bit of time to fill out this form, and now I'm going to go ahead and hit submit. Now, even though this is not finished as far as we're concerned, it is allowing me to submit this as it were a live form. And so I'm going to go ahead and close that. It says thanks at the top that their response has been recorded. I'm going to go ahead and close that, and it takes us back to our original sample form. All responses that are collected are actually put into a spreadsheet, and we can view those responses just by clicking on the View Responses link at the top of our form. So as you can see here, all the information that I put in, the first name, the last name, the phone number, everything is in there. And as new users open that form and fill it out and click send, everything will be placed inside this spreadsheet so that it's easy to go back at any time, and I can look over the information. If I need to, I can sort that information. Every column is sortable, and it's just an easy way to collect responses from participants that use your form. Now, also at the top, next to the View Responses button, there is an Accepting Responses button. So, like for instance, if you're using a form that you only want to stay open or live for a certain period of time and then you want to stop taking responses, then all you have to do is go up and click this button and it will change to Not Accepting Responses. And it even tells you this form has been turned off it's no longer accepting responses. I'm going to go ahead and click that again so that we are accepting responses. At the top, just like everything else that we've talked about inside Google Drive, there's a share button, but in this case it is called a send form button. Now from here I can copy the link that's provided to me just by hitting Control C, or I can right click and copy that link, or I can choose to use an embed code. Now embed codes allow you to go into an HTML editor and paste this code in so that it shows up directly on your web page. And you can also choose to have a custom size put in. I would recommend that on the height you change that to 1000 or 1500 so that the entire form shows up on the page. Once you change a field, just make sure you click outside the field before copying the embed code. And then you can go to your HTML editor and paste it in. The third option is also to share your link via Google+, Facebook, or Twitter. So if you have one of these accounts, you can just click on the link, log into your account, and it will post the form directly into your social media. And then finally, you can send the form via email. So whereas I might just copy this and use my work email to push it out to the group that I've created in my address book, you can enter individual addresses into the send form via email box, and then when you're finished you just hit done. Well, I'm going to go ahead and close the sample form out, and as I do, what you're going to notice is when we go back to Google Drive, the spreadsheet that we were looking at earlier to see our responses is right there on the page. It's inside our folder with our sample form. So anytime I want to go back and look at those responses, I don't necessarily have to go back into the form and click View Responses. I can just click on the spreadsheet right here and view those responses in a separate tab by itself. Well, that is a very quick rundown on forms. And if you, at any time, like always, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. And I believe the next thing in your course will be to go ahead and fill out a form for the course. And then after you filled out your form, you should be able to get your certificate of completion. So I hope you've enjoyed this course, and thank you for taking it.